Hey everybody, welcome to MT Guitar. Thanks so much for joining us today. We're doing a lesson on inversions, chord inversions. And we're doing both first and second inversions. And I'm going to explain what that is. This is another lesson in the music theory series I've been doing, where we apply music theory and guitar fretboard understanding directly to the guitar. That's something I truly believe in, that we should apply music theory as soon as we learn it and not waste any time not applying it. And I've also posted a PDF of a tab of all the chords I'm covering and more on the Patreon. So please check that out, and if you'd like to support the channel as well, that would be a great way to do it. Also subscribe and all that wonderful stuff, and hit the thumbs up, and all that stuff really helps. So chord inversions are one of those things that will really open a lot of doors for you, whether you're arranging songs, jamming with friends, or with a band, writing your own songs, or just improvising and sort of wanting to have fun playing guitar. Chord inversions will take the bass, which is normally the root, and move it to another note. And in our case, we're doing part one of open chords, and there are countless inversions, but we're going to stick with the open chords, and we're going to stick with just first and second inversions. So they show up all the time, and they really sound great. So I think that's enough of an introduction. Why don't we get zoomed in on the hands, and I'll kind of go over both the theory and the application of it, and as well as the fingerings. All right, let's get started. All right, so stick around for this lesson, even if you don't want to learn all these right away, because I'm actually, instead of just showing you the fingerings and sending you on your way, I'm going to actually talk about why these inversions are inversions, what makes them inversions, and how to possibly make your own inversions, etc. Kind of the theory behind it. So let's say you're in a D chord and you think, okay, I want to make an inversion. There's two ways to find inversions. One is from scratch, I mean. One is to simply highlight or identify the third and the fifth. Okay, so the root is D, and that's a 1. And if I walk up to a third, there's a third. So if I simply play this chord now, but this as the bass instead of the 1, that would be a D over F sharp. It's not the one that is the most famous, but that would be a D over F sharp. Okay? And I know that this is an octave with this, if you know your octaves. Okay, that's how power chords are formed right there. That could be the bass now instead. Okay, so I walked up to the third of a major scale, and then went down. Another way you could find it is say, okay, well, let's go to the fifth now. How about the fifth of the chord? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is a second inversion triad right there. But it's kind of a small chord, so let's get a bigger one. So go down an octave to the A. That's an A note. Here's an A bass. So here's a D over A. And we knew that would work because, like I said, what works is a root, a third, or a fifth. Here's the third. Here's the third again. D over F sharp. Here's the fifth. There's the lower octave of it. D over A. And that's one way to do it. You could also walk down to the fifth. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. You don't have to always go up a scale. You can go down it from 8. 8 is the same as 1. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3. All right. Another way you could do it is identify every scale degree of a chord. So we have root, fifth, root, third. And if I know that this is the third, anything that I can play on the E string, I can also play on the bass E string. So it's second fret on the E string. It's going to be the same note on the bass string. So instead of playing that note, I just move it there. Switch the fingers for comfort. But really what I did was I played the same exact notes, but instead of this first string, I moved it to the bass string. It's the same note. It's an E string, just a bass E string. Same thing applies for here's the root, here's the fifth. I move the fifth down an octave to there. So you see how the note is already in the chord. It's already in the root position chord that we know. Everyone knows D. I just take one of those F sharps and move it to the bass. Or take one of those A's and move it to the bass. Alright, so that's something I recommend you do is you learn the major scale, find the thirds and fifths, move it to the bass. That's the first method. The second method is locate the scale degrees of the chords you already know. Roots, thirds, and fifths. And if it's not a seventh chord, that's all you'll have. If it's not a sus chord or anything like that. Then you move those down to the bass. All right, really fun to do. So there's D, let's do G. Okay, so this one's quite easy. All we have to do is, here's the root, here's the third. So instead of starting on the sixth string, we'll start on the fifth string. Okay. All these work, whether it's this with the third fret second string or open, either way. Okay. Then there's C. Okay, well, hold on before I move on. Second inversion G would be over the D. Here's the D. 1, 3, 5. So the 5 could just be that. Second inversion, first inversion, root. All right, so let's review. D, first inversion, second inversion. D over F sharp, D over A. G over B, G over D. G, first inversion, second inversion. All right, let's go to A. A major. Okay, try to find the first inversion. All right, count up 3 letters from A to find the third. A, B, C sharp. So there's our first inversion. Instead of playing this, I'll go up to A, B, C sharp, and then I'll bar the first finger on the second fret of the fourth, third, and second strings while playing my third finger on the fourth fret, fifth string. There's our first inversion. Second inversion, what's that going to be? 2 more letters up from C sharp. D, E. A, B, C sharp, D, E. So that's going to be here or there. How about let's do the bassy E first. You don't have to take the A bass out. You can just play both basses. Okay, you can also just do the E from here. So. So why would that be useful? Well, if you want to keep the bass the same, you know, and it's called a pedal, or move it a little bit here and there. So a lot of things you can do with that. All right, so that's A major. What about A minor? Where's the third? The third is now C natural because the third of A minor is C. So just add my pinky on the C note. I was about to play House of the Rising Sun, but that's actually not an inversion. They're just going to a C chord. That's what it would sound like if they went to an inversion. Okay, or A minor over E, or the bass E. Okay. All right, what about E minor? So E minor, you could just go to the third fret, which is G, which is the third, or the fifth, which is B. And in that way, the melody's kind of taken over by the bass. The chord stays the same, but the bass moves, which is not always the case. All right, so that's E minor. We've done. Let's cover everything. So D. D over F sharp, D over A. Now G, G over B, G over D. Now C. Oh, did we do C yet? We didn't do C. Let's do C next. C is one of my favorite chords to do inversions because they sound really juicy. Here's a regular C, and then this is C over E. Really cool. So what's happening is, here's the first note, here's the second note, here's the third note. That's the ticket for the first inversion, the third note of the scale. And if we take that down an octave, we get the bass E. And now we play a bass E and the C, and it's this really rich chord. Beginners probably think, oh, I should never let that sixth string ring out. And then you kind of get better and you realize when you learn inversions, oh wait, maybe I should once in a while. So, really, really beautiful chord. Another really great chord is C over G, which certain songwriters use. And that is taking my third finger to the sixth string and then putting my pinky on the fifth string, third fret. And that is a what inversion? Second inversion. Root position, first inversion, second inversion. Okay. I think we're getting near the end here. Let's do a D minor. D minor over F. Right there. And that's going to be a first inversion. 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5. Take it down to the bass. A. That's an A. So here's a D minor over A. Or a second inversion. Oops. So you get the idea. This is something that is maybe not so amazing when they're all lined up one after the other, but if you take a song and like Landslide, you know, you see the difference between this and this. It just sounds like a different song. Landslide wouldn't be what it is without chord inversions. Same thing with when it goes, if it did that, that wouldn't sound great. But then instead of going like this, if it went, still pleasant, but it's just not Landslide. So what's happening is the bass is being voice-led in a way that's very pleasing to us because the bass is not jumping all over the place, and inversions allow us to choose different bass notes instead of just being, you know, sort of almost victim to whatever the root is. Oh, that you must go to the root no matter how far away. What if we go to the third or the fifth? That can maybe make us so we don't have to jump around as much with the bass. And then the bass can be acting as sort of a melody. So all these things are things to chew on for the next weeks, months, years. This is not something that comes instantly, but it is something that is worthwhile. So let me know how this goes. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will be doing part 2 where I will be covering more inversions as well as bar chord inversions, and as well as a little more about the theory of what's going on. And we'll talk about seventh chords, and that's a whole nother inversion as well. All right, so happy practicing and good luck. All right, well done, everybody. Go ahead and subscribe to MT Guitar if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell. And other than that, thanks for tuning in today. Looking forward to next lesson. Bye.